I initially like got into it through acting, and I love acting, but I just loved with photography how much like you are like the direct, you just have so much control, and I just love that. And I just love that you can like create, it's like in one image you can create a world.
So chill. Hello, the light is on. Hello and welcome to the Dream Chasers podcast. I am Samantha Ainsworth, your host, and here I have Max Lorei.
You got it. Bam. Nailed it.
So Max is here. Max saved my ass. That's what we're just gonna call it, because I have been a very busy person. Those of you who follow us know that I've been shutting down the business, and that has been a whole. And then suddenly I realized, oh crap, I don't have any guests lined up, and as if fate came down from the heavens and landed him on my lap, he's like, "Hey, remember how we talked a couple months ago about me coming on?" I'm like, "Yes. What are you doing next week?" He's like, "I can do Tuesday." I'm like, "I can do Tuesday," and here we are on a Tuesday. So. Max is you're a photographer. It seems like mostly fashion kind of stuff. Is that?
I would say it's kind of like boudoir, fashion, fantasy, and then I also do headshots.
Very dark and edgy. They're really pretty. They're really pretty. I'm like, oh, if I wasn't feeling really horrible about myself right now, I might like take you on. I'll like slide into something slinky and let you take my photo.
Exactly.
It's not too bad for an old chick.
Exactly.
So, as I was telling. We were chatting a little bit before. We were having technical difficulties. So the reason behind the podcast is, honestly, it's because I was having this, like my life was sort of like collapsing around my ears. And I really got to thinking about dreams and the chasing of dreams and what that means. You know, because like sometimes you find yourself 13 years into a business that wasn't your dream, and all of a sudden it's taken over your entire life, and then it's falling apart around your ears. You're like, what do I do? And so it really got me thinking about it. And I was in the shower, which is where all my good ideas come, and this poem came to me.
Cool.
So you get my dramatic interpretation of this poem, Until the Langston Hughes estate sues me, which so far it's so good. I tag Langston Hughes in it all the time. It is nothing but respect and love, but I feel like, especially now, with life in the world being so expensive and people can't do what they want to do, I feel like it's important. So, Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Right?
It's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Beautiful.
It's my favorite. It's my second favorite poem. William Carlos Williams has, but I'm weird. So, Max Lorei.
So.
Photographer extraordinaire.
Yes.
When you think of dream chasing, what does that mean to you?
Man, I think it means a lot of things, but I think for me, it just means doing, like, I always say, like, the childlike thing in your heart.
Yeah.
That sounds corny.
Oh, doesn't?
But it's true. It's like people, when you're a kid, you have these specific things you want to do.
Yeah.
And they're not always, like, as you get older, they're not always what you actually want to do. Like, maybe when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be a firefighter.
Right.
And really
it's almost always firefighters.
Yeah, and really what that dream is, I think, is, like, you want some type of action. Maybe you want to, it'll manifest into something, but... Yeah. I think it's just, I've always been a person who, like, I basically just feel like if I'm not doing something I love doing and am passionate about doing, I'm miserable.
Right. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
The other day I was talking to, I belong to all those small business development groups, and there was a guy in it. They don't know what to do with me. So they're always like, why don't you?
Right, because they have more
they're
typical
like, money?
businesses.
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, can I pay for my bills and have my children not die of starvation? Otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah.
But he was talking about, like, you know, he was dealing with this artist, and like he didn't understand her because like she didn't care about the money. And I'm like, I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? Like, my last job was the best paying job I'd ever had in my life. Like my day job, my last adulty job is what I usually say. I didn't care. Like it's not worth it. It's not worth sitting in a parking lot and crying because you're throwing extra money at me.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I've been doing this shit for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I don't make squat, but like, I got the soap going and I'm happy and I'm doing the podcast and that makes me happy and I'm doing the painting and I make these really pretty little like ceramic tile things and I love them and I'm going to die broke and that's okay.
Yeah. For me, I think was funny for me because I'm a photographer, I own my own business and then I, also do acting and stuff. And I think for me, like, I don't know about you, but like working for someone else.
Doesn't have to.
I have no, it's not even like there's people that love it, but I cannot do it. Like I've been fired enough times by just to know this, I went in this with good intentions and it's not what I want to do.
No.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like there was a point where I had 8 employees.
Yeah.
And I'd had to let people go. And sometimes people moved on to other things because I wasn't paying very much.
Right.
But people always bitch about like how little I was paying. Like, okay, but I'm nice to my people. And so I never had the problems with my employees that most people have. Like we didn't have a huge turnover because like it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
Like, are you getting it done to the best of your ability in the time I need you to get it done? And it may not necessarily be the way I thought about it, but like, is it getting done? I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
I
don't care. Like, are you happy?
Right.
Because I know I can't pay you enough
to
have the money
to
do it. So like, have a good time. We try to have a good time. I would always feed them, and then we get free coffee. But yeah,
free coffee's good.
Free coffee.
What's wrong with free coffee?
Nothing wrong with free coffee, and I make good coffee. But people always talk about how life is short. Life is not short. Life is long, and it's too long to be miserable. That's a lot of years and a lot of minutes and a lot of seconds to be miserable.
Yeah.
For what? To have a nicer car? Who cares?
Yeah.
I'm glad you care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of acting do you do? I didn't know you were an actor, so see?
Yeah. Again, photography is definitely the focus at this point, but like I was in a Goodyear commercial a couple months ago. I'm with a talent group here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you're very commercial friendly.
Yeah, thank you.
I am not. You are very commercial friendly.
Yeah, so stuff like that. I think Pittsburgh's kind of a cool place for the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Because I was in LA for a bit and I was in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Like LA is obviously hardcore, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But Minnesota is the Twin
Cities, theater
town.
town.
Also a significantly bigger market as far as people than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We get more film and TV than they do. We do. But
the cities are huge theater. I mean, there's a lot of good
theater.
100%. A lot of good theater, but not so much filming.
I've just been blown away by like the amount of stuff that's filmed in Pittsburgh, which is, population like 300,000 people. We get a lot of stuff filmed here.
There's a huge theater community here. There's a huge indie film. We don't get as much of the big. I mean, we get some Hollywood stuff. We don't get as much of that as I'm sure they would like. But Dawn's working her ass off.
Yeah.
And then we've got like some really, really good festivals and stuff here. Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially if you're not trying to be pro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities here.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah.
And what's nice about Pittsburgh, which is actually the reason I moved back, because I was living in Seattle for a while.
Oh, wow.
I was there 8 years.
There's a decent amount of theater and stuff there, huh? No?
There's some.
Okay.
There's some.
Yeah.
There's some, but not like here. And the problem with Seattle is like once you leave Seattle, which is a huge population, it's like 2 million in like the immediate. I think it's I think there's 5 in like the greater metro, like all of it. But we're talking like 80 mile because just once you're on I-5, there's just people. It's just like it's nonstop. But once you leave that, you have to go 3 or 4 or 5 hours to go to anything.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but I do know a lot of people who they would live up in Everett and they would do theater in Olympia, which is like a 100-mile drive.
Yeah.
So people would do that kind of thing. So there was a lot of that happening. And there's a decent amount of television stuff that happens there. There's a lot of indie film that happens there. The theater scene is kind of weird. It's mostly fringy. There's some really big ones there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But it's hard to break into those.
Yeah, okay.
They bring in the New York people.
Minnesota was just like that.
Yeah, because
Minnesota was like, they have you can be sort of like work on the lower levels, not lower levels, but like professional theater, but it doesn't pay well.
Right.
And then there's the Guthrie.
Which is number one on my list.
Totally. And the Guthrie would cast, maybe 2 locals and then like 6 people from New York.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing, so very similar.
Pittsburgh was like that mostly, but I feel like they're starting to recognize the sheer amount of local talent, or maybe they just realize how many people have moved here from New York.
Yeah,
because it's a very similar vibe for a lot cheaper.
I agree. I feel like I've met 4 people in the past 2 months, like 2 friends who are just like they were.
There's
in
this
New
weird
York
like Brooklyn Pittsburgh pipeline thing that's happening. Which is really kind of funny. Because I have friends that live in Brooklyn. That's actually where I'm going to be staying, is in Brooklyn. But there's a lot of back and forth between Pittsburgh and Brooklyn. It's funny. Yeah. But if you want to do indie film, there's so much. So much. Yeah. And PJ Gaynard, who was here, like he does a lot of sort of coordinating a lot of that, like because he runs the 48 hour film festival right now. So he's really good at sort of like connecting a bunch of dots. Like, oh, this person. Okay, now go meet that person. And if you need folks, you can go to him. Yeah. And then I'm involved with Carnegie Screenwriters. Cool. So there's a lot of activity happening with that as far as like getting some scripts written. Nice. It would be nice to have more pro work, so we didn't always have to leave town. But that's
when do you I think writing is so interesting. I mean, I think it's really similar to like editing or like creating beautiful photos. Because a lot of my photos, I do these like extravagant edits.
Yeah,
and
to me, beautiful.
Thank you so much. It's so similar to writing. Yeah. Where you like, I feel like you do it best in the morning or at night. Yeah. With either coffee or like a little bit of beer. When your mind is like kind of loose and you're just sort of like going. Is that your experience with writing?
Personally, I love writing in coffee shops or diners.
Interesting. Just because it has like a texture to it, or
so there's like a soundscape that happens. Yeah. And every once in a while, a word or two will pop through. Yeah. And sometimes that word or two that pops through is just enough to go off to the next thing. Yeah. I am not a normal writer. Okay. Most people I know that are writers, and I have some friends who are professional screenwriters. Like, they hammer out a first draft, and then they're like, okay, and they tear it apart, and then they hammer out a second draft, and they gradually. I don't do that. Like, I'll write notes, but we will have 85 conversations about Sister Catherine and everything Sister Catherine is going through, and then once I have it all worked out in my head, I'll sit down and I'll hammer the entire thing out, and there might be 5 or 6 edits after that. Wow. Maybe, but usually once I write it, it's usually intact.
So you do a bunch of like pre-work?
I do a bunch of,
and then
all in my
once
head.
You start, you just go.
Once I start, I just get it done. Wow. Yeah. Which is not the most effective or efficient way to go. Yeah. But that's how I was in high school and college too. Like I would write essays that way. Yeah. That's just the way my brain works. My brain has to work it all out, and then it just goes. But I'm super duper impulsive. Yeah. And
I'm an artist. I feel like that's just like an artist quality. Yay! Yeah.
I always joke that I'm what Ritalin looks like when it grows up. So
I relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like the act of rewriting is just really hard, and I don't like to do it. Yeah. I don't rewatch movies. I don't rewatch
like that
books.
Discovery.
Yeah, I like that discovery, and so the conversations about it, that helps me like work everything out, and then I can just write it. I can just write it then because it's all been worked out in my head. I am doing a different thing this time. Okay. I'm doing character sheets for everybody, which I've never done before. This is the biggest project I've ever written that's not based on someone I know. Like where the main character's not based on someone I know. Okay. So I have like actual invention. I have to actually think about things. So I'm doing these character sheets, but they're brilliant because it allows you to work it all out. Yes. As you're figuring out, like, would this behavior be consistent? Because I'm doing like an entire season.
What's your favorite movie or TV show ever?
My favorite movie ever is Heavenly Creatures.
Wow, that's Peter. I've never seen that.
Oh
I'm
my
a
God.
massive Lord of the Rings fan, and if you check out my photography, I think you would make sense because I like no joke. I probably saw those series I'm not exaggerating, 35 times when I was a kid, maybe 40 times.
I saw Heavenly Creatures at the Rex.
Wow.
So that dates me a little bit. What was that, 94?
And that's about angels?
No.
What is it about?
Heavenly Creatures is actually it's based on a true story of this writer whose name is escaping me right now. It's based on her life. When she was a teenager, she had this girlfriend, and she and this girlfriend killed the girlfriend's mother.
Wow.
Because they were lesbians in New Zealand and they were trying to keep them apart. But they were crazy. And the two of them together was it was a bad combo.
I think I vaguely know about that because I'm a big true crime fan.
Yeah. Oh, then you've probably heard about this.
I think I've heard about that. Yeah.
So what it was is like, so there were these two girls and they were like very obsessed with each other, and they sort of created this whole other world.
Yeah.
You know, where they could be together and everyone would leave them alone. And so they thought that what was keeping them apart was the one girl's mother.
Do you ever listen to like true crime and get inspired?
Hardly ever, but I probably need to start because my current thing is about a serial killer, so I have to like.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm not currently like writing a script or anything, but I am consistently blown away by true crime. Like all the crazy movie premises, I feel like have like. I mean, this is an overstatement, but have kind of like happened in real life. If you just listen to enough true crime, the shit people do, I don't know if I can say it.
I think you can say shit.
The stuff people do is insane. Like real people do in real life is bananas.
I like the fact that like women tend to be the ones that are like all about the true crime. And you're like,
I don't know what it is. I watched The People vs. OJ.
Okay.
Which is a dramatization of a true crime story.
Right.
And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever watched.
I watched the White Bronco on the news. Like I remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
I think I watched some of the trial. I don't think I watched the trial, but yeah. I'm a little older than you are, so I remember all that. Yeah,
that or did you ever listen to Serial?
No, but I've heard it's amazing.
So I actually think it's it's amazing storytelling. I think maybe Adnan Syed got a little bit shafted in that story.
Yeah.
But from a purely storytelling standpoint, it's like crack. Just like next one. And yeah, it's just insane.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, but I did have a period of time where I was obsessed with serial killers. And
yeah, it's fascinating.
Well, my favorite part of acting is why do people do what they do?
100%.
And so like, okay, so they do these things, but why?
100%.
And there's a weird, this is honestly not true. There have been more serial killers in the Pacific Northwest concentrated than anywhere else. And I have to wonder if it's the weather. But there's also there's a freaky thing about like the volcano and how like the volcano can like somehow like disrupt like the energies or whatever, but because there was Gary Ridgeline.
Oh, I know. Gary Ridgway.
Oh, yeah.
Green River Killer.
Yes. And then Ted Bundy was in Tacoma. Like, I've actually been in the same room with Ted Bundy's parents, which is so bizarre.
No way.
Because apparently they came to see a show that I was in, and people were like, oh, there's his parents. I'm like, okay.
Oh, my
Why
gosh.
would you? I don't, okay.
Yeah.
But they were actually going to do a tour of Ridgway's. Well, now it's all it's all developed
sites
out
or whatever. Yeah.
Where they would find all the women.
Yeah.
But now it's all because urban expansion. So now it's not in the middle of nowhere anymore.
Yeah.
So now there's
you can go into a shopping mall and be like, before this was a shopping mall, this is where they found one of the bodies were.
They were starting to do tours of it, and people threw such a hissy fit that they canceled it. Like, you can't. But it is I love the why people do what they do. Like I'm fascinated by that because.
Did you see Dahmer?
I did not. I'm the worst actor on the planet. I don't watch
any of
anything.
I mean, that show is horrific, but it's so well done.
Yeah. I remember again, that's within my lifetime.
Yeah.
That whole thing. So I know the story. But I'm the worst actor ever.
Yeah. My vague theory about why they're all from Seattle and Washington is like you said, I think it's the weather. I think it's it's a gloomy place to live.
You
But
put
that
up with
doesn't
the
explain
rest
it
of the
all,
year
'cause-
to get May, June, and July. Because, like,
Yeah.
honest to God, May in Seattle is just if there was a heaven, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially like if you're looking off over the islands, and then there's the mountains in the distance, and you're not quite sure where the mountains end, and the clouds begin, and it's gorgeous. But you have to get through the whole rest of the year to get to that.
Yeah.
And because it's so much further north, it's dark. Like, I remember, like, I've been picking my kids up from school, and it's already starting to get dark.
Yeah.
January is rough, but again, May, June, July.
Yeah.
There's just like, if you're gonna go, that's when you should go. It's glorious, and it's not even so much that it rains; it mists and it drizzles.
Interesting.
And it's almost worse. Like I mean, it's raining today.
It's kind of like just like gloom.
It's just gloomy.
Yeah.
It does. It seems to mess with everyone's heads a little bit,
Well,
and everyone walks around holding a cup of coffee everywhere you go. Like, it
makes sense though, because like I get that it's like a
it's a little
pick me up.
Yeah.
But what I think's funny about that is, like, if it's just the weather, why aren't there a bunch of serial killers in like Canada and Alaska?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's what I
there
don't
must be
get.
something weird about, well, because Rainier's there, or Tahoma, not Tahoma, if we're being like real. That was the original name. There's a huge fight over.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
The white folks changed it to Rainier.
Classic.
Which is spelled Rainier, which is really funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
But there's something about, like, the way the sound comes down, like, the water, the sound comes down.
Yeah.
And, like, it even does like a weird thing with weather patterns, because you have the Olympics over here, and so the weather patterns sort of go around the Olympics and sort of smack into Seattle, and then it hits the Cascades, and it kind of does the same thing again.
Yeah.
So there's something weird about the energy about how that does that.
Yeah.
But it is a 500-year volcano that's like 100 and something years overdue. I had never heard of a lahar before I moved to Washington. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's not the ashes and the lava that you have to worry about. It's a lahar. Do you know what a lahar is?
No.
So here we go. Here's what I learned.
What is the spelling?
Here's
what is
what
the
I
spelling of Lahara?
Lahar. I think it's just Lahar. I think.
Okay.
I think. Again, I'd never heard of it until I moved there. So the problem is less the lava, because the lava will get to a certain point and it'll stop because it'll cool down enough and it'll just become rocks and then you're done. But there's all that water up there because it's a glacier, right? So when that much heat goes to that much water, it's got to go somewhere.
Right,
so it comes whoof down the mountain.
Yeah.
And so there's a town on the very base of Rainier called Ording, and I shit you not, they always would say Ording, the first to go when the mountain blow, like, because it's in that there's like a valley that comes down, and so clearly it had happened in the past.
Yeah.
And so then what happens is, like, it's water and all the trees and all the dirt and everything just like it creates like this tidal wave that comes down the side of the mountain. That's what everyone's freaked out about.
Yeah.
Like that's the concern.
Interesting.
And so I'm sure that pending, never quite knowing when it's just because it's due.
Yeah.
Like, never quite knowing when it's going to go. Like, whenever people say that they moved out there to Ording, I'm just like,
yeah, that's wild.
Like, there's certain kinds of insurances you can't get because they know eventually that thing's going to blow. And I lived on top of a hill because I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere in that path. And it's like, and everyone kind of knows it's that path. But in knowing that there's like this bubbling up underneath the ground, if you believe in that kind of thing where like the earth affects you, like it could be sort of like in the back of people's heads, just sort of messing with their existence a little bit.
Well, I mean, on just
it's a little fatalistic, but
but on even just more like practical, I had a cousin that he's from Nebraska, which I feel like is just kind of like standard, I don't know, American weather. Yeah. And he moved up to Alaska, and he was like, I don't know if he had like any depression before that, but he was like down. Yeah. Which I'm sure I would be if I was there.
It's the main reason I had to leave Seattle is because the dark got
what's funny is, do you think it's even, like, do you think it's similar to Pittsburgh, or is it worse?
As far as the dark?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always thought Pittsburgh was like kind of gloomy, but
it is. We get more rain, but we get more sunny days than Seattle does.
Okay.
We just get more rainfall.
Well, then I feel like that. Yeah, there you go.
Balance.
Yeah,
it's a balance. But what the bonus of there versus here is all the evergreens.
Yes.
Here we just get gray. That's what makes it feel worse. Is because like the trees are gray. The trees are gray and the grass is gray and then the sky is gray on top of it. Yep. So that makes it hard. Whereas there, at least it's dark, but there's always green.
I know. I actually haven't been out there, but I really want to go out there to shoot. I was just thinking of it when you were talking. Have you heard of Timber Gulch? Or it's something Gulch, or maybe it's Leslie Gulch. It's in Oregon. It's the most insane.
See, you need to talk to my husband. He's from there. He's from Oregon. Okay. What do you know? What part of Oregon?
I don't know.
Thank you for not saying Oregon.
Yeah,
Oregon.
That's how I used to say it.
Until you learn better.
Yeah. But I've just seen it on Instagram Reels, and it just looks like one of the most visually stunning things. Like these crazy spires of rocks, vertical rocks. And whenever I see stuff like that, I'm like, I want to go and shoot there.
The Pacific
so
Northwest
bad.
is gorgeous. I mean, it really is. It's gorgeous. And I go out there. I was just there in October because my son got married. Because I'm old enough to have a son that got married.
Okay. Do you have like a son got married button? Like,
I know. Well, like I've lived this long, and everyone's like, "Do you have grandchildren?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
No. Because I have. There's a lot of children, but I have a bunch in their 30s, so like I could have. Yeah. It's just so weird to think because I'm so immature. It's fine. I just do this. It's fine. No, I mean it's stunning over there, but I feel like Pennsylvania is beautiful.
It is.
I do a lot of driving across it. You know, like go across the Pennsylvania part. It's so pretty. I like when they call it mountains. I'm like, oh honey, no.
Yeah, no, it's not. But I
lived in Colorado too for a while. This is not mountains.
Like, have you ever been to Columbus, Ohio? I have been to Columbus, Ohio. It makes Pittsburgh look mountainous. Columbus is the flattest place I've ever been to.
Oh, you haven't been to Kansas.
I don't know, man. I went to Columbus recently and I'm like what? There's no geographic variation. It's just flat the entire time.
Well, it's like you get west of what is it, Zanesville, and then it just levels off and it just kind of stays that way. It's all very flat. And it's kind of. I was in Cleveland I was doing a play up in Cleveland. And I'm going, this is so flat. I mean, like when you immediately leave Cleveland, and there's some stuff, but Cleveland proper is very, very flat. And if you're used to, because I grew up in Texas, but I grew up like the part of Texas I lived in was the Texas Hill Country. So like we had hills. They may not have been huge hills, but we had hills. We had hills. Yeah. And so I was born in Germany, so we had hills there, and then I moved to Central Texas, and they have hills there, and I moved here, and there's hills
Germany
there.
to Texas.
Oh, my life is so complicated. My mother's German. My dad was from Texas, and
do you speak German?
I understand it really well.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I haven't I left 40 years ago, and I haven't been back.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the day I stopped thinking in German and having to translate.
I've heard people say that. If you you think in a different language, which is wild.
Yeah, when my new bestie is she's from the Netherlands, and I can see her every once in a while. You can sort of see the wheels turning. And her husband's Welsh, and so so she speaks English a lot, but apparently at home they speak Dutch. So he speaks Dutch. Okay. So he's the one who's having to translate. Yeah. But I remember I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and I remember I was in class and I'm like listening, and I'm realizing, I'm not having to translate it as we go, which is bizarre. But and it's funny because I took German in college and I got a C, and I'm like, that's not what we said.
That's so funny.
That's not how we said it. Yeah. But it's kind of, in the States you learn basically like Queen's German, right?
Yeah, but 15 years late. Like the slang, the lingo you're learning is. I remember in Spanish class, they would be like, it's just like the videos they were showing us was like from 85.
Right, and language evolves.
Yes.
And so, because we learned, in Germany, you start learning English. I was there until 3rd grade? So like we were learning English in class, but it was very proper, eat the Skinner shit, it's very proper.
Yeah.
But nobody speaks that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got yelled at in 2 languages my entire childhood. So a lot of the German I remember is not nice.
Right.
But yeah, so I can read it still. And if I'm hearing it, as long as they're speaking slowly enough, I can follow along. My Omi and I, we used to talk on the phone, and she would speak entirely in German, and I would speak entirely in English, and we have entire conversations that way.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but she passed. Holy shit! Like 15 years now, so I haven't had to.
Wow.
So I haven't really had. Yeah, I haven't really had to. So, yeah, it's weird knowing that English was not my first language, and yet I don't really have my first language anymore, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah, that is odd.
It's what it is. But I do. It's so funny because I can inquire, like we'll sing something in German. I'm just like, that's how you. But I'm from the southern part of Germany too, which there's like a dialect involved. So it's almost like the equivalent of a southern drawl. Southern German.
So you got
it's
southern
closer to
from,
Austrian.
from
It's
both.
softer. Yeah. It's
from both directions.
my sister, when we were kids, she had this funniest, like it was like almost like it was like a guttural drawl. So she had like a lot of the German in there, but then she also had a little bit of the Texas in there.
Yeah.
So she had a very strange accent for a long time.
Yeah.
Not that has anything to do with what we're talking.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay. The problem is we've not been in the same space, and so we're like,
Yeah,
hi,
exactly.
I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Which I always like. I like when the conversations derail a little bit. So okay, let's get back on track.
Okay, back on track.
You're charming. We should hang.
Yeah.
So with the photography, so is the photography the dream?
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. So
not like why, but like what is it about?
I initially like got into it through acting, and I love acting, but I just loved with photography how much like you are like the direct. You just have so much control, and I just love that. And I just love that you can like create. It's like in one image you can create a world.
Yeah. There's a lot of storytelling in your photos.
No, I mean 100%. I mean, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with, like, I'd go to the movies all the time, and the movie posters I just thought was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. It's funny when people will say, "Oh, that's an amazing image," and whenever someone says that, I think of like a movie poster. I think of like the Dark Knight movie poster. Like, that's amazing. And other people are talking about like I don't know Maxim magazine or something. But yeah, I love storytelling. So I think 100%.
So what would you like to see it? Where would you like to see it go?
I just want to grow it.
Into what?
Man, I would just love to be able.
You can't achieve a goal unless you can name it.
That's very true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just love to grow it. So right now I'm obviously like growing my Instagram following and stuff. I think as annoying as social media is,
it's helpful.
If you have a really big following, you just have access to like do a lot of stuff. Yeah. So that would be my primary focus. And then, I have like a lot of clients here in Pittsburgh. I also have some clients in LA because I was out there for a little bit. So I love that. We were talking about traveling and stuff. That's really the dream. I just love to be able to go to beautiful places, photograph amazing people, get paid to do it, and make beautiful stuff. So like maybe like celebrity photography? 100%. 100%. Okay. There you go. I've done it a little bit. So I got to photograph. I photographed Matt Rife, the comedian. He's so funny. Yeah. So I got it was a really cool opportunity. I feel bad he's getting pushback now, but I think he's a riot. Yeah, he's very funny. So I mean, not like at a portrait studio, but I photographed him during his show, and then TJ Miller from the redhead guy from Deadpool. That's right, you don't watch movies. The worst. I'm the worst. No, but no, I think it's really cool. Yeah, I obviously would love to photograph celebrities and stuff like that, but I also just think like, I just love storytelling. Like, I think it's cool to photograph a really simple photo of someone, but I love the like conceptual stuff. What's your favorite photo that you've done so far? Man, honestly, it's probably this photo on my website. It's actually this girl is she does a lot of different kind of modeling and stuff, but it's like a blue background. She has pink hair, and she owned 8 snakes. I think I saw that one. Yeah, and she had one like slithering on her, and I think it's so cool. And honestly, when I'll post it. When people reach out to me, that's like the one. They're like, I want that most of the time. Yeah. Among other things. That was cool. It's funny you're talking about Seattle and clouds and stuff. This was also up there. I got to go to Ireland, and I photographed someone out there, and we were in these mountains, and all this fog, it was so wild. All this fog came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like fogged everything up, and then it left in like 15 minutes.
But you got it.
But I have this one photo by this lake. Yeah, I love stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what does a perfect day look like?
Perfect day, man. I feel like I had a pretty perfect day on Sunday. It was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. What'd I do? So I had a shoot in the morning. Then I like did some artistic editing for fun, worked out, and then me and a couple friends went to like grab a couple beers, and it was a great time. And it was super sunny. It was like 60 degrees.
It was a good day.
It's awesome. Yeah, and on your birthday, everybody's like, happy birthday. That's fun.
My birthday's a holiday, so that...
When is your birthday?
New Year's Day.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a complicated birthday to have.
Yeah.
It's a complicated birthday to have.
Yeah.
But so you don't have like any weird angstos about your birthday?
No.
You're like, I'm young and beautiful. I don't have to worry about that shit yet.
I think the older I get, the more it's like, I just like, yeah, it's cool. It's a day.
My husband's the same way. He's like, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like really fun and cool until you're about 26.
Okay.
Don't you think? And then after that, you're like, well, at this point, I'm just getting older.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just had, I don't know. I feel like 50 is the big one. I had that, but I had that in the height of the pandemic.
Oof.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I've never really been able to enjoy my birthday, but I think it's because of when it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if it wasn't, because January 1st is all about, oh, I have to change my life, and oh, this year's not going to be like last year, and or everyone's hungover and nobody wants to do anything, and you know, so like it's never really been like, I remember I was 13. It was my 13th birthday. I was just determined to have a party on my birthday. We'd always had my party a couple days later. I was just determined.
Your parents are like, listen, hon,
no one's going to come. Right.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it in a little bit.
Right. I was determined to have it on my birthday, and not a single person showed up.
Wow.
You know, so like,
what if you just celebrated like a week later?
That wouldn't be fun. I mean, but then it interrupts my friend Mark's. So what we do now is we do just like it's one of the reasons we started doing this game night thing that we do monthly. So we just open the house, and like if you come, you come, and if you come for 10 minutes, awesome. If you can come for an hour, awesome. If you come for 12 hours, that's also awesome. I'm probably going to go to bed, but you can stay. Do what you're doing. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm old. I think that's why we did it. But because it's also on that big reflection day.
Yeah, it is a reflection day.
It's a big reflection day, and so because I don't do resolutions. I've never really done resolutions. I do goals. I do like yearly goals, but I've never really done resolutions. But I think because the birthday is that day, I've never really been able to enjoy it, and because I didn't have the world's greatest upbringing, and so my birthday got forgotten a lot.
Yeah.
And which is fine if like you're like some weird random in the middle of the month day.
Yeah.
But when it's New Year's and someone forgets it's your birthday, that feels personal.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. You'd be like, it's my birthday, and they'd be like, Schliegenseigen.
Right. So I used to joke that like everyone was doing like all the fireworks and stuff, you know, in celebration of me. Yeah, it's all mine. But yeah, I had a really hard time enjoying it, and so now I've been making a point of enjoying it because not everyone gets to live to be 53.
100%.
So that's great, and I do try to give it the due that it deserves without going crazy with it.
Yeah. Nice.
That's just
my dad always says like it's a good thing to have a birthday, which is true. It's like even if you're getting older, it's like the alternative is you're dead. So it's a good thing to have a birthday.
And I'm aging well, which helps. But I'm also immature, which I think is why I'm aging well. I don't think it's necessary that I look young; it's that I act young, and so it confuses people. So they're always like, "I always thought you were." Okay, really? And they find out I have a kid who's 35, and they get really confused. So, because I have an energy. That's fine. Let me read your bio because he sent it, and since I made him send it, I should read it. Max Lorei, Okay.
You want me to make it really confusing for you?
What?
Oh, no, go ahead.
So my daughter's name is Lorelei. So
Wow.
So I was trying not to accidentally say Lorelei. So Max Lorei is a photographer based in Pittsburgh, PA. His forte is dramatic, bold, visual, engaging portrait work. Portrait work of and clean, stunning headshots. I should have looked at it before. Max has an extensive background in acting and modeling, and this has helped him extensively in bringing the mojo and great expressions from his clients. You can find his work at, is it Lorei?
loreauxphotography.com and maxlorei.com. Simple.
Blah, blah, blah.
Easy.
So you said you're still doing some acting?
Yeah.
Was acting a thing that you pursued, or was it
100%?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like film stuff?
Bang the guns. Yeah. When I like did a play my senior year of high school, like after kind of being a sports guy, and then I had the whole High School Musical thing.
Right. They're like, please be in a musical?
Yeah. And then I was like really into it. And so then I moved to Minnesota and was doing theater and improv and stuff out there. And then I was like, all right, screw it. Let's go to, classic, like, and went out to LA, got to do some really cool stuff, cool experience. But I was young and foolish when I moved out there. So my runway was fairly short.
Yeah.
I just would say if you're going to move out there, like save a lot of money and like get a game plan. I still love going out there, but yeah. And then here, I just kind of ended up here because I'm from Erie, and I kind of originally wasn't planning on staying that long, but I just love I feel like it's a good mix of there's a lot to do, there's a lot of opportunity, but it's not like
it's not
insane.
Overwhelming. It's not insanely expensive.
Yeah.
What my favorite part of Pittsburgh is it's kind of all the things. Right? Like if you want nature, we have nature. If you like gritty, we've definitely got gritty. But then we've also got like all this bank money, and then we've got these amazing, beautiful old houses, and there's water, and then there's hills, and it's kind of got all the things. But my favorite thing about Pittsburgh is a complete stranger will tell you their entire life story in the first 5 minutes of you meeting them.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes.
I also love that you know how people feel about you immediately.
Yeah.
I was in Seattle 8 years, and I swear there were people in my social circle that I couldn't tell if they actually liked me or not.
Yeah.
And that was weird. Like there's a difference between being kind and being nice, and Seattle's very nice.
Minnesota was like that too, honestly.
Minnesota, yes.
Yeah, it was just weird because they're like, dude, I don't know. I feel like people were just more like, they would do this thing where it's like you're saying, where they would like, I think you're being nice, but also like, if you don't like me, we don't have to hang out.
Yeah, we don't have to hang out.
Yeah, it's just like, it's all good.
You can be civil. I mean, you can be civil to somebody. But yeah.
Whereas here, I think people are like it's like you said, if you like pull up to a bar next to some random person, they'll just like talk to you.
Right.
Openly. There's no like front. Yeah.
We moved into our house in Munhall, and the guy next door, like we're still unpacking the truck. We're just unpacking the truck, and he's in his yard. He's just like talking to us like, hey, how you doing? We found out his son was gay. We hoped we were okay with that. Found out that his wife was a nurse. We found out all of his health issues. So, like, we found all this stuff like, okay, we're still like moving boxes in and out. But it's very Pittsburgh. But I like that.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes
definitely.
it's a little oppressive, but overall, like I like the brutal honesty that comes.
Yeah, I think like to me the quintessential, like if you really want to get like Yinzer in Pittsburgh with it, is, have you been to Nadine's? I'm sure.
Oh, I love Nadine's.
That place is
9 o'clock in the morning. There's a whole line of them just like pounding them back.
Oh my gosh.
But
that
the
place
best
is just,
diner food.
Yeah.
It's the best diner. It's my favorite. It's
it's just when you walk in, it's a bunch of people like, hey, how you doing? Hi. You know what I mean?
I
It's
can't
like,
do the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I think to me that's
I love
just
that
such
you know Nadine's, because I'm always introducing people to Nadine's.
I mean, to me, I think that if you want to know, like I feel like if you were from another country and you're like, what's Pittsburgh like
Nadine's.
What's like a flavor of Pittsburgh? Go there.
Yeah.
Because that's like people who like typically like blue collar jobs and like go there to like get drunk and like eat food that's bad for you.
Yep.
And
it's so good.
Yeah, it is great.
So their coffee's gone downhill a little bit, but overall, yeah, I'm a huge Nadine's fan. That's really funny. Yeah, because usually I'm the one who's introducing everybody to Nadine's.
You know what's another one that it made me think of when you were talking about like places to write? Have you been to Kelly's Diner in East Liberty?
I've not.
You got to go there because it's I guess it's not really a diner, but like you've probably driven by. It has this
I know where Kelly's
neon
is.
sign.
Yeah.
I just think that's
is it Bomb? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like that Bomb.
I think
Highland.
that place needs. I don't know if it's been used in a movie. It needs to be.
Oh really?
I love that place.
I used to go to the Squirrel Cage a million years ago.
Yeah.
A million. Yeah.
What I love about that place is you calling it the Squirrel Cage. That's not its name.
It's not its name.
It's called the
Squirrel Hill Cafe.
Sports. Yeah, or the sports. Yeah, like. And only the true fans know that it's the Squirrel Cage. Yeah.
Well, I used to years and years ago. I worked at that Eaton Park that used to be on Murray.
Oh, nice.
So, and I did the overnights there.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. So
how late is Eaton Park open till?
Well, that one is gone. That one's
gone. But it was open overnight.
It used to be. Yeah, it used to be 24 hours.
I bet you saw years, some characters in that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had everybody in there. We had everybody, and I was there when they still did the green skirts.
Man, I don't even know if I know about
that. There was actually a song in the 90s because I moved here the first time in 92. Yeah, 92. And so they had these like polyester green skirts that they would wear. Okay. And so there was some pop song about the Eaton Park waitress with the green skirt because that was like the thing. So I was there when there was the green skirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there years. But yeah, I did the overnights. And so we would stop at the Squirrel Cage and then
that's so funny.
I would go to work and it's midnight, I gotta go get my shift in. That's so funny. I actually loved waiting tables.
Yeah.
I loved the interaction with. I'm sure you get that a little bit with the photography. I don't get that so much now because in my studio it's kind of just me most of the time.
Yeah.
But meeting all these new people all the time and just finding out about them, and sometimes even just like I'll sometimes take the bus and I'll just like look at people and like try to figure out what their story, like what their deal is. I love trying to figure out what their deal is.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about going to New York is taking the subway and just staring at people.
Here's
like, what's your deal?
So I went to Planet Fitness this morning.
Okay.
I was lifting and then I went to the massage chair.
Right.
And there's this guy next to me who's like, I would love to know what that guy's deal was. He was doing. So the massage chair, you sit there and you're like, okay, this is happening. I'm looking at my phone.
Right.
That's what every time I'm in the massage chair, if there's someone next to me, there's someone's like, hey, I'm looking at my phone and I'm getting a massage. Cool.
Yeah.
That's standard protocol. This guy had his own thing. He was like doing crunches.
In the chair?
He was like, and then he would get up and leave the chair. It's still, blah, 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 and then he would like come back on.
Maybe he didn't.
It was a wild. I want to know what that guy's angle was. Like, was he? I don't know. That was weird.
I love that shit. Like trying to figure out why people are the way they are. I feel like you can be very empathetic with people if you just try to get into their heads a little bit.
Definitely.
I think right now, the whole like political climate is. I'm simultaneously too conservative and too liberal all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's tough out there for a moderate. So,
yeah.
Whatever. I'm definitely left leaning. But like so far I'm almost falling over. But still. People don't get up in the morning with the intent of offending you.
100%.
I don't think anyone does that.
100%.
Even people that you absolutely disagree with.
Yeah.
And so I think if we could just look at people and just try to figure out like what is it? Like, how are they trying to get through their day?
Yeah.
People are just trying to get through their day.
Yeah. I think a big one, too, with, like, politics and stuff that I just think is, like, so underrated is, like, everyone thinks they're, like, so unique with their, like, political thing. But, like, your personality informs, like, your politics a lot.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a more, like, very logical person, you're probably going to be like more conservative typically. If you're like more emotional, empathetic, you're probably going to be more like left leaning.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that. It's like, it's easy to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and there's conservatives and there's liberals and then there's
100%.
I have friends on where I'm just like, guys.
Friends are like, how far? Yeah.
Like, what are you? Okay. But yeah, but just in the figuring out who people are, like, and it's my favorite part of acting.
Yeah,
I play a lot of murderers, so like I play a lot. Well, I have the cute little face,
What do you
and
think?
I mean,
What do you think your type is?
See, that's okay. So it's actually why I'm writing this thing.
Okay.
Because I took a branding class a couple months ago.
Where?
So I do Amy Jo Berman. Do you know it?
Yeah.
I
know Amy Jo Berman.
I love Amy Jo Berman. I love me because I belong to her Next Level Nation thing.
Yeah.
And I do lots of online classes, but I'm a particular fan of hers. And she does all this stuff with like meditation and all these wonderful things. So we were doing this branding class. And so we were all off in our own little breakout rooms. And people who've done a lot we had our resumes, and people who haven't done a lot, we're just basing it sort of like on what you look like.
Yeah.
What you look like. And so,
100%.
But in looking at my resume, the things I have done the most, either film or stage, have been nuns. 15.
So funny you say that because I could 100% see that. I don't know
15.
why.
Because I have a little round face that looks good in a wimple.
God.
15 nuns and probably 25 or so murderers of some form. Killers.
Wow.
I mean, I've played Lady Macbeth. I've played, Goneril. I've played Tamora in Titus Andronicus twice. Like,
Yeah.
I don't play nice people. I mean, I have played nice people, but that's generally, it's one of those two. But I mean, could you not be more diametrically opposed of the extremes? I think part of that is also I'm not afraid of those things.
Yeah.
And so I know that there have been roles where people are like, okay, normal people won't do this, but Sammy will do it. So like, because I'm over here. So, so then we get back into the group with everybody, and she says, okay, did everyone figure it out? Because not everyone can play, both a nun and a serial killer. And I was like, actually, so like my whole group starts laughing, and she's like, what's going on? And I said, well, that's actually.
She actually said that.
Yeah, she's like, what's going
that's
on?
That's amazing.
And so I was like, I have played mostly nuns and murderers. And she's like, well, have you ever played a murderous nun? No, I have not.
My type.
But I'm about to.
Oh.
So that's what I'm writing. It's
cool.
Oh, and I love this so much. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm super excited. But so I've written other things that I'm going to like submit to festivals and things, but this one I think I'm going to try to, at least the pilot, produce that here.
Cool.
Because there's so much good talent here.
Yeah.
And tell some tales. I think part of the problem with Pittsburgh, and because we get a lot of stuff that comes in, and I think part of the problem with Pittsburgh is we embrace hard work.
Yes.
Like it is part of our community consciousness is like we appreciate hard work, and we like seeing how hard people are acting. Look how hard they're acting. They must be doing a good job. And
that's funny.
They don't understand that on screen that looks terrible.
So true.
And so there's a lot of wonderful human beings doing some really bad work because they don't understand that if you're working that hard, it comes off false.
There is such a great article. I forget what it was. I read it a while ago, but I read it like 7 times when I first saw it. And it was when I was doing acting really seriously. And it was talking about there's this fascination, especially for men, there's this fascination with like method acting. Because as a guy who's like, I'm going to do shit. Seriously, it's appealing.
Right.
And you're not like just putting on makeup and it's like appealing. You're like, I'm going to do the thing. But I think it was like maybe it even interviewed like, it was talking about like Robert De Niro and stuff. The reality is like, it's not cool. It's not as cool as method acting. Like the marketing is cool. But like, I don't think like Robert De Niro is a method actor. He's just like, is good at like being real in imaginary circumstances. Yeah. And I think it's just funny because I thought it was so true. It's like there's this, it feels more like A to B if you're like, he killed a goat in order to get ready for this serial killer role. And it's like, what if he's just like, has really good intuition, is like, no, it has like a more generic preparation and it works. Like, it's not as cool of a story, but
it gets a little masturbatory, I think, when
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And again, I play a lot of those characters, but like, if you figure out the why, right? Why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of thinking their thoughts. Then you don't
Yeah.
have to do so much.
Yeah.
You know. And I still do more than you probably should for screen. I'm working on that. But you don't have to do so. But even on stage, you don't have to do so much. It's like,
Yeah. You have to
trust the words, but also just like. So I have some good friends that every morning we send each other videos of us talking to each other.
Okay.
And it started because like I can send you a video while I'm driving to work, right? And I can tell you everything that I need to tell you.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
But also like as an actor, that has been really, really helpful because I don't like to watch my acting necessarily, although I have. But if you just watch yourself talking to someone.
100%.
We don't do all the things. Like even when we're talking about big heavy shit, we don't do all the things. It's like we just sort of like pull it back, and we don't have to work so hard. But I think that people feel like they have to work. Like we've aggrandized all this. You have to work really hard, and I don't think you necessarily have to show it. It can just
especially
be
on
hard.
camera.
Especially
like for
on camera.
film and TV, it's like the best acting is like, it's like they're full and then they're just there.
They're just there.
And whereas, I mean, stage, I think you got like you are.
Well, you have. I mean, for
you got to
stage,
reach
you
the
have to go over
background,
there.
so that's different.
Right.
But yeah, I do really think film and TV is like, yeah. I mean, you just like feel it, and I think that's a funny one. I was actually making a video about this for photography. I think it applies to like posing.
Yeah.
Where people will see like, let's say some famous poster and the model's like, she's like doing some crazy thing, but she looks super relaxed.
Yeah.
And the reality is like, she didn't go like, I'm going to do this sick thing. She was just moving, man.
Yeah.
She's just loose. I'm here, I'm there, microphone. And then she's looked at the camera.
Right.
I think it's the same with acting. It's like,
Yeah.
you like just have a feel, and then like bring it to the camera or don't, or bring it to where you want to go. It doesn't have to be like banging down the door.
But it's so because I don't watch a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what everyone knows already. But I feel like good acting doesn't look like acting.
Yeah.
Good acting's not flashy.
100%.
Right. But I think that's also true of getting out of bed and going and doing your thing. You know what I mean? Like, I am very much a person who lives on Facebook, right? Like this morning I was like, I'm going to do this, and this, and this today. Because this is why I'm not returning your messages. It's not because I'm ignoring you, because I'm doing all of these things today. But you don't have to, you could just be.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people think that if you're not struggling or if you're not suffering, then somehow like you haven't justified your existence.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. And I am the queen of the 12-hour workday. But I go to work and I love what I do, and it just happens to be 12 hours later. Yeah.
That's cool.
I could be at a theater for 20 hours in a row and not even feel tired. That's my heaven. And I wish people had that for themselves. The whole point of these conversations is like, I think that we think that a dream has to be big. I mean, my dreams are like, I recognize that my dreams are big, but I also recognize that like, I have a friend who has a skin condition, and she spent years trying to figure out what would fix her skin condition. That's a dream.
Yeah, 100%.
People who have really nice gardens, and that's where they focus their energies. That's a dream. That's valid.
Yeah.
Getting really good at a yoga pose.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
It's as long as you have a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons I don't. I decided a couple months ago that there are people who are participants and there are people who are spectators, and one's not better than the other. I'm not a spectator. I don't like. There are people who I follow painting tutorials online, and I'll paint along with like painting tutorials. But there are people who just watch them. I can't imagine that. I feel that way about watching media.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
I will do it all day long.
Yeah.
I will play a sport.
Yeah.
I will participate. I will go to do improv. I will sing at karaoke. Just sitting back and watching someone else do it, I can't. But my kids love watching other people play video games.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be a common trend.
Right, but I don't think that that's any different than dudes sitting at home watching football.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And it's all okay. It's just
yeah, I think that's very true. I think some people are, I mean, I can definitely do both. Like, I like watching football, I like watching movies, but I also like being like a participant.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I think that's true.
I think it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
I just happen to be way too far. I'm a doer. I do the things. And I mean, and it could be psychological. Like it could just be that the people who raised me were mean to me and made me feel like if I wasn't doing that, it's entirely possible it's that. But I like that. I like doing.
Yeah.
For me. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you're doing all these things. You had this goal, doing the photography, hopefully doing celebrity someday, traveling all over the world. If it could go exactly the way you would want it to go, and you're like, this is it. I have achieved this.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Man, I would just say like freedom to come and go as I please.
You want fuck you money.
And get paid for it. Not even just that. I just think like, yeah, I mean, that would be ideal. But I also think just like being, I think that's why to me, I think social media is the focus. Just because like, if you have, let's say you had like 500,000 followers or whatever, I could just like post, hey, like I'm going to be in Sydney. I'll take 2 to 3 clients.
And have them pay for your trip.
That's amazing. That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream, right? To like be able to have the freedom to, yeah, just do like travel you want and get paid to do it.
That's awesome.
Right?
I want to work at the Guthrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think like, yeah, I mean, I think social media sometimes gets a bad rap because it's like, it can be very
toxic.
self-serving. It can be everyone's comparing yourself to each other. But I mean, I think if like you do it for the right reasons, you're like, I'm literally just trying to do this so I can do what I want to do.
But it's like that. It's like that same thing. Like people who work so hard.
Yeah.
Just be. I mean, like I think one of the reasons I've started falling off a little bit, but Elise Myers, I think the reason like she did as well as she did,
yeah, is
because she was just her.
Yeah.
Like, and she's kind of weird, and she wouldn't wear makeup, and her hair would be all over the place, and she was just her. Do you know who she is?
No.
That's okay. She, God, I mean, like 5 or 6 million followers or some crazy thing like that. But she would just tell the funny stories about being awkward.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think about it too. Is it's like doesn't have to be. I think that is the cool thing about it. It's like there's this guy, I don't even know his name. His thing is like it is this hilarious, unique thing. He is. I don't even know his name. I'll have to link it to it. But he's like 22, I think.
Okay.
So he has like flaming red hair.
Okay.
So he kind of looks like Conan. So already you're like, okay, that's kind of interesting.
Right.
And then he has this like crazy, funny kind of personality. And then it just happens that he lives with his mom, and his mom is like a little person. And you follow them.
Follows like with the trumpets and stuff.
Yeah, it's like to me that's
like it's a trombone.
That's amazing. Like this guy is making a living, supporting his mother, just by like being this like crazy
weird
unique
kid
couple. Like I don't know, it's just hilarious.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I love that. See, yeah, because he has like 5 million followers or whatever, and I think it's easy to be negative, but I think it is so cool that we live in a time where like you can make a living being like interesting, professionally.
Yeah,
yeah, like.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that I think the authenticity part is really important. Again, like I don't think you have to work so hard. Just be you. Yeah. That's why I wanted to do these things. I wanted to have these conversations and just to meet cool people who are out there, making their magic happen. Yeah, so I think that's neat. And but also like the journey is the thing.
Yes,
right?
Definitely, 100%.
Like I mean, you can talk to everybody once they've been there, but like. It's the process.
Yeah.
Like watching the process of, okay, I'm getting up and doing the thing.
Yeah.
you know, maybe 10 people will watch it. I don't know, but I'm doing the thing.
No, I think that's so true. And I think that's interesting, and it really applies to acting too, because there's this, I used to take classes in LA, Anthony Meidl's Actor Studio.
Okay.
He has a book. He's like,
sounds familiar.
He's like definitely known in the acting and stuff. But one of the things that was really interesting with his studio is because, like, you know, I was just like kind of a noob when I was there, but he coaches people who are on shows and in movies. And I think what's so interesting, he has such a cool perspective, because he's like, you might get the show. It's not going to like be the answer. It's going to be a really cool experience. You're going to meet really cool people. You're going to be thrilled with yourself that you did it.
Right.
But like, you're not all of a sudden like, you never get tired. You don't have to go to the bathroom. Like, it's not like Nirvana's achieved. You're just like in this new cool circumstance.
Right.
And I think it's like you said, it's, you know, it's like doing it is the reason you do it. It's not, you know, just like getting something is not, you know, especially as an artist, it's not like why you do it. You make photos, you act and stuff. You do it because like you get this feeling when you're doing it of like, whoa, I'm like tapping into this creative vision inside me.
I've started taking these casting director workshops.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love
so
them.
good.
I love them. And it's so funny because like I have now, I mean on Zoom, but I've now met these people that I'd only ever seen their names, you know, and so I'm like, oh, that's Tiffany Little Canfield. Okay. And everyone's like, oh, she's so scary. I'm like, she was so nice, you know, and that's what I have found. Like the further along people are in their careers, the nicer they are.
I also think, I mean, this is really just like purely for like acting advice too. I think like there's so many people who are in the industry who have just like this picture of what it's like. And if you do a casting director workshop, I think it's so cool because I did a lot of them. I haven't done them recently, but I did a lot when I was in LA. And you get this like, just like, this is how the business works whenever you do them. I love it. I think it's just like this crystallized. Like,
the answer is always it depends.
Yes.
And they're just people.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but you get a very clear idea of like, okay, it's not this weird mythical thing that we've all like beat us. I think people think that. I think people think that being a celebrity photographer or whatever is like this weird unachievable goal so that they don't have to beat themselves up for not going for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, that's for magic people.
That's so true. And the other thing, that's the other thing with these days is like literally I can go on Instagram right now and I can take a workshop. That's funny you said that with like some guy just photographed Sydney Sweeney, right? She's really famous.
Yeah.
You know, I can just go take a workshop with him. Like all the things you want to do, you can pretty much just like buy a course to, like you can do it.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a good way to put it. It's just, you can do it. It's not that, it's just a matter of you getting over like your own, almost like ego of like, I have to be this type. It's like, you don't, you can just do it.
Yeah.
You just like show up.
Just show up. Showing up is, you know, and like, and I was saying to my husband, because I've been doing all these things, and that's actually what I'm going to New York for, is I'm doing, I belong to this thing called One-on-One, Next Level. I think in LA it was called Next Level. Okay. So it's like all these casting director workshops and stuff. Awesome. So it's like this 10-day intensive.
Hell yeah.
Casting director workshops, commercial workshops, voiceover, theater, legit agent showcases, blah 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 blah. But like over the course of all these days, I have so many scenes to learn. So many scenes to learn. So, but like, okay, if nothing comes of it.
Yeah, but you'll get some. Nothing won't come of it. Like
I have met so many neat people, but just I haven't booked anything in a while. It's really hard out there right now. I don't know if you know how bad it is right now. Yeah. But I've gotten to meet all these really cool people. Oh, the light just went off. That happens sometimes. Sometimes the tech does weird things, and I'm like, oh dear. There you are. Hi.
And we're back.
Yeah. We have to wrap up soon because we were talking. We've gone over. But cool. I will have had the experience of having gotten to do it.
And you'll get you just always get good feedback.
It's so nice.
Like because I've done a couple of those, and I actually did even what I did a couple years ago is I just it was, I think maybe during COVID or whatever, I flew out to LA, did workshops, just because then instead of you sitting in Pittsburgh and theorizing I need to be this, you just get and they're like, we could see you playing a cowboy. We could see, and you're like, oh, okay. I can see how I'm perceived.
Yeah.
So helpful.
I am blue collar, white trash. that's and then nuns and murderers. I could be the weird lady next door. Teacher.
One that I get a lot is tech guy.
I can see that.
Engineer. Which I have terrible, I mean, not terrible with computers, but like I cannot code. I cannot do any of those things, but tech business guy.
I could see you as the main character's ex-boyfriend.
Yes. Perfect. There we go. There we go.
Anyway, blah, 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 blah. We have talked too long. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Abe, thank you for saving my ass this week. Because I'm a little chaotic, but also this was delightful. We hardly talked about dreams at all, but that's okay.
We talked about dreams enough. We talked about dreams enough.
Yeah, but anyway, it was so wonderful for you to be here. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with us for an hour 10. It went long. I mean, except for the last one that was short. So anyway, thank you so much and keep on dreaming.
Thank you so much.